Hey everyone, it's Jonathan from Awareness Ascending. Just wanted to let you know we have a private members network at awarenessascending.com. If you sign up and become a member with us, you get live stream access. So what that allows you to do is to ask questions directly to the hosts, get readings, get healings, get live channel direct messages for your questions, information that you want, and just be part of our conversation as it develops. So head on over. We have a 7-day free trial at awarenessascending.com and enjoy the show.
Hi, everyone. My name is Dr. Kat Lewis, and I am a functional medicine provider. I also do energy medicine, and I also do Kundalini Yoga. I'm certified as a Kundalini Yoga instructor. In 2018, I had an experience where I felt myself as a light being, and some people call this a Kundalini rising experience. Essentially, everything in my body healed that night, and I felt like a light being. So if you look at the sun and you feel that energy, you feel the light of the sun, like just sense the light of the sun. That's how every single cell in my body felt. It was the most magical experience I could ever imagine. And had I not experienced it, I would have not known how anything like that could have possibly happened. So it was beyond my human mind's belief system and ideas of possibilities. As a result of that experience, I was able to feel energy. So I could feel other people's energy, especially if they drop into meditation and they go into their heart. I could feel them do that. I could feel their heart's energy. That was something I could not have felt before. I could feel the sidewalks breathe and the energy around me of the trees and the space. Everything was vibrating. Everything seemed more alive. And at the time, I didn't really understand what was happening. In that moment of that experience, I felt as if I was waking up out of a dream. And it was like, I could see what people call Maya, the illusion of this reality. And had I not experienced it, I would still probably to this day not understand what that meant. But after that experience, my brain changed. My experience of this reality was changing, and it really set me on a journey of learning things, experiencing different teachers, and learning to understand what had happened to me that evening, so that now I'm able to reproduce that and have that experience, be in that state of being at will. So I'm not quite exactly there. I don't feel exactly like a light being like I did that night, but I'm very close. And I want to share with you some of the information that I have around that I've learned around that, because if someone were to have shared this with me 3 years ago when I had that experience, I think it would have really helped me. So I want to share this with you. And it has a lot to do with the human biofield. We are essentially energy. Everything in the universe is energy, right? Energy and matter are related. Our eyes cannot see certain light frequencies that are here. So we can't actually see the light beings that we are because our human eyes and our human senses don't allow us to experience it that way. So our senses, our physical senses, are really like 3D glasses. They allow us to translate the energy that is here. And we translate some of that energy as physical objects. But they're not really. Science tells us that, this phone is 99.999% space. How can that possibly be? If I'm touching it and holding it and my senses feel that it's hard, I can hear it, right? Well, our senses are the 3D filters, and they're translating this energy and allowing us to feel it the way it is. Like you go to a movie and you put on the 3D glasses and you can see something that you weren't able to see before. Right? So that's what our 5 physical senses do. Anyway, I'm getting a little off track because I really want to talk about our energy field and how it affects our health and vitality. And it's really this loss of this energy field, the depletion of this energy field over time, that creates disease in the body. So I want to talk more about this so that you can understand you can increase your vitality and increase longevity, resiliency, and your immunity. So I'm going to share my screen and show you some of the slides that I've created for this presentation. Okay. So okay, so this is essentially what I felt like. So again, look at the sun. When you go, next time you can, look at the sun and just feel, try to imagine every single cell or every single part of your being like that, feeling like that. It's like a high frequency vibration. It was absolutely amazing. And in that moment, I understood that the mind was creating the resistance in my body, that my understanding of myself as a human being, thinking I'm just this human being, was creating this physical body. And it was also creating resistance in my body. So when I have a restrictive mind, I'm creating resistance in the body. I'm going to go more into that. But we come into this earthly experience thinking that we're just this little person, right? We're just this soul individual, that everything is separate from me. It looks like this space here between us, between me and this computer. It looks like I'm separate from this computer, but really I'm not. Really, this is all an illusion. And I'm going to describe to you how I saw that. So we think we're separate. And when we think we're separate and we think we're just this soul individual, we think that our life is finite, right? So we don't think that we're eternal beings. We think our life is finite. We think we're separate from people. We compete, we judge. We think we need to really work hard because our parents taught us, maybe, possibly, more than likely, our parents taught us that we're just these soul individuals and we need to work really hard to get through this reality. But we think we're that soul individual, but really we're much greater than that. Really, we are the space around us. We are the container and the forms inside of us. So what I saw that night is when I felt like I was leaving my body. I felt like I was transitioning, just like when you come out of a dream. When you come out of a dream, when you start waking up, maybe some of you have experienced waking up out of a dream just slowly. And when you do, you start to realize, oh, this is a dream. And you start to wake up to your greater self, right? And what I saw that night was that I was becoming the space. I was dissolving back into the space, and I was releasing the feeling of resistance or limited body. I was releasing the feeling of being in a small body. I was becoming the space. So imagine that, like maybe you can just imagine when you woke up from a dream, when you wake up from a dream and you're kind of realizing, oh, I'm not this limited human being, limited person I thought I was in the dream, especially if it was a bad dream, a dream that you didn't like having, right? So you feel really scared in that dream. And then when you wake up to realize that you are you, right, then you're relieved and, oh, that was just a dream. Well, that's what was happening for me is I was waking up, I was leaving this realm, this space that looks like it's actually empty. I was realizing that this was a dream, that everything I was seeing in this physical reality was just a dream. Now, I didn't know it and I didn't quite comprehend it to the extent that I understand it now. So what I've understood is that I was given that experience so that I could then go through the journey this last 3 years, because that happened to me in 2018, or actually almost 4 years, no, 3 years, because it happened December 2018, when it took me 3 years to fully comprehend what had happened to me and integrate that knowledge so that I can now reproduce and experience myself in this world differently. So I do still feel like a small human being at times, but I also can know how to expand myself and feel like the space. And I understand that this world is actually happening in my mind. And that gives me a lot more control over my physical emotions. It gives me a lot more understanding of unity, which creates less resistance in my body. And I'm going to show you how we do that. When we are in unity consciousness versus separation consciousness, we create different chemistry in our body. And that either will deplete our biofield or increase our biofield. Okay, so what really helped me was understanding this human energy system and understanding what this reality is. And so what I want to share with you is some of this information. So what I've come to discover is that these energy centers throughout the body, and there's many of them depending on who you're speaking to, but there's 7 major ones, and those are the root chakra, the sacral chakra, the solar plexus chakra, the heart chakra, the throat chakra, the third eye, and then the crown chakra. These are energy centers in the body, and they're really part of our mind. They are recording information. So all energy carries information, and these energy centers are recording information. So all of our experiences that we have from this life and possibly others are recorded into these chakras, these energy centers. So when we're small, from 0 to 7, we're really just recording machines. We're really just taking in everything that we're seeing. We're like open books, and we feel really, at least I did when I've done a quantum healing hypnosis technique, QHHT by Dolores Cannon, and I went back to where I was 3 years old, and I felt my chakras, and they were really wide open. And what I realized is that life caused me to constrict in those chakras. So these chakras are recording everything. So they're getting our belief systems from our parents and from the society around us. And what they record, so the quality of the information that's being stored in these chakras, is going to determine how we feel. It's going to determine our vibration. So these are just our conditioned beliefs. And when we feel ourselves as the human body, when we think we're just the human body, we start channeling that information that's been stored in these chakra centers and in the brain. Okay, so all energy carries information. So even material, the body, is also carrying information because it's energy as well. So if I feel myself as a human being, if I think I'm just this body, if I feel just like this, just in here, I'm going to be channeling that information that's stored in here. But I'm not just that human body, right? I'm that field. We are the field. And the journey here on earth is going from a limited being into an expanded being, understanding. It's going through the journey to understand that we're not just that limited human being. We're actually much greater. We are the field, right? And so, Bashar, if you're familiar with Bashar, he's an ET that's coming through Daryl Anka, a channel. Daryl Anka is channeling Bashar, and Bashar says, we came here to be the masters of limitation. We came here to master limitation. So when we feel like we're this limited being, we feel limited. But the journey of life on earth is to master that limitation. So we literally are masters. We become masters of limitation. So we no longer feel limited anymore because our eternal selves are not limited. They're unlimited. Okay, so when you expand your awareness, okay, when you have the proper information and someone can teach you how to expand your awareness, and I'll share with you a meditation in just a moment on how you can do that, then you start tapping into your higher mind, more of the information of your higher self, your higher mind. Okay, so we're not just this limited being, but when we feel like that, when we feel like that little person, we channel the information that was stored here in these energy centers. When we feel ourselves as a space, when we expand our minds, become aware of ourselves as a body of consciousness, that we are the container and the forms inside of us. When we expand ourselves like that, then we get access to the higher mind, to all the information that's stored in this field that looks like it's empty, but it's filled with information. Okay, so how do you do that? You sense and feel the space around you. You sense and feel that you are your body. But now you need to open your mind and sense and feel the space around you as your body. It's your body of consciousness. Just as the dream happens in your mind when you're sleeping, just as a dream happens in your consciousness as you sleep, this is also happening in your consciousness. So think about it. When you are asleep and you have a dream, when you are asleep and you have a dream, where do all those atoms and molecules go when you wake up? Where do they go? Where did that space go when between you and the other objects that were in your dream? When you woke up, it just disappeared, right? So doesn't that make sense? When you think about how scientists tell us that this is 99.999% space, how can that be? It feels real, but it also felt real in your dream, right? It also felt real in your dream. So we have this higher mind, and it's all around us. And we can become aware of it by expanding our awareness, literally opening up our minds so that we get more information can come in. Okay, this is a quantum field of information. It's invisible energy. It's filled with information. We collapse what we know by focusing on something. We focus on an idea, it collapses. And then we keep focusing on that idea, and then we go and create that more and more of that idea. Well, just release that idea of you being this human, feel the space around you, and now you're opened up to a full sea of potential, an infinite sea of potential. You get more knowledge from your higher mind, which is all around you. There's also chakras above our head. And as we feel and sense those chakras, we get the information from those chakras. We can literally sense and feel the chakras above our head and draw that information down into our physical, the chakras in our physical body. Okay, and you do that by these certain practices, by sensing and feeling the space around you, and then also going into your spiritual heart, which is deeper than your heart chakra. It's one dimension in. It's really the first dimension of our minds. It's us coming into this reality through the spiritual heart. And the spiritual heart energy is our pure infinite light source of life force energy. So when you tap into the spiritual heart, you have an unlimited stream of life force energy. And I'll show you how to do that in the meditation that we do. So when we think we're the limited human being, or when we don't, whatever we believe, those belief systems are stored in our chakra system. So most of us grew up with parents that didn't know they were eternal beings. And so they gave us the information they had, which was that we're limited human beings and we need to work hard. And, they might have been judgy, or they might have felt inadequate. And so we pick up these ideas and we practice these vibrations. And because these energy centers are associated with glands, our glands secrete according to our ideas. So our glands secrete hormones or neuropeptides according to the ideas that we hold. So for example, if I'm really worried about a conversation I have to have, right? I'm really stressed, or maybe I have a court date, a trial, and I need to prepare for that, and I'm really nervous about it. I'm going to start secreting from my adrenal glands, okay? If I have a sexual fantasy, I'm going to start secreting from my sexual glands. If I'm really thinking about food, I might start secreting from my digestive glands. If I'm really connecting with someone and I'm feeling really like a lot of love for that person, I'm going to start secreting from my thymus gland, oxytocin. So our glands secrete according to our beliefs or our ideas, whatever idea we're holding. And the more we practice those ideas, the more those glands are going to secrete that routinely. Okay, and then those hormones and neuropeptides are telling our cells and our tissues what to do. So over time, if I'm chronically engaging my stress response, my adrenals, for example, then I'm going to have issues that are a result of chronic secretion of cortisol. Okay, so that's how we start creating disease and start diminishing our energy field within our body, because the stress hormones or the stress response actually are a low frequency vibration. They cause us to feel like more like the material world, like stone or like the material objects, and less energetic. Okay, so different emotions have different energies. So shame and guilt are at the lowest level of emotions. Okay, and enlightenment, knowing who you are as eternal being. Okay, peace, joy, love, those are the higher vibrations. And so they feel really energetic. When you see someone that is in peace or love or joy, their bodies are open, they seem more relaxed, they're more excited, they have more energy. Okay, because these emotions are also energy. Our thoughts are energy. Our emotions are energy. And the higher the vibration or the higher the frequency of the emotion, the more energy that emotion has. The more energy, the more light, then the stronger your biofield. So again, everything in the universe is energy, E equals mc squared. So that means energy and matter related by the speed of light. Material objects are energy. Your thoughts and your belief systems are energy. Your emotions are energy. And all energy carries information. So when we practice these belief systems over and over again, then we're going to hold those frequencies in these energy centers. And then that's what we're creating with. That is what the physical body is going to respond to. The cells and tissues are going to get that information. And over time, depending on what those vibrations are, we can start to create dis-ease in the body. Okay. Okay. So how you feel matters a lot. And any wellness, in my mind, any wellness program must address this. So I do functional medicine, and functional medicine is really root cause medicine. What we're looking for is we're identifying the root cause of disease. And I'll tell you, the number one root cause is ignorance of who we are as eternal beings. But then there's other root causes that are mental, emotional, but then there's other root causes that are physical. But ultimately, it's our mental, it's not knowing ourselves as eternal beings that's causing dis-ease in the physical body. We can have digestive system issues, and I'm going to show you how that works. And then we can have accumulation of toxins in the body, and lack of exercise, lack of sunlight, lack of proper sleep, lack of proper nutrition. Those are the key stressors in the physical body. But the mind is the number one, right? Because when the mind understands who it is, right? When we understand who we are as eternal beings, then we behave differently. We choose better foods. We know how to take care of the physical body. Therefore, we're eating the right. We know how to go to bed early because we know that the body benefits from that. We know that we need to move the body because we know the body benefits from that. So we approach life differently when we know we're an eternal being. We don't have that separation consciousness. We feel at one with the space, and therefore we have less resistance in the physical body. And again, over time, that elevates the energy, the frequency, the vibrations that are held in the physical body. That gives us more energy, gives us more health and happiness. Okay, so the field is the sole governing agency of the particle, right? Einstein said this. The field is the sole governing agency of the particle. It is the quality of this energy field that's going to determine how your cells and your tissues manifest. We're regenerating 810,000 cells per second. That means that when you change a belief system, or when you move the energy, like free up the energy in your body, change the frequency of the energy in your body, then what happens then is now your cells that are regenerating in that field are going to be different than the cells that were there before, and it can happen like that. And that's essentially what happened to me. I had a quantum healing that night. My whole entire body changed because the vibration changed, the frequency changed, and everything healed. Every disease cannot exist in that energy field. Okay, and I'm going to teach you how to get close to that. And when you do these practices over time, that creates more and more of this life force, this energy in your human energy field. Okay, so I can measure this, or we can measure this by different instruments, but one of the ones that I use is called a Biowell. And this is based on gas discharge. And basically what it is you stick that little box, you stick your finger, each individual fingertip in there, and it applies a voltage, and then there's a little camera in there, and because that voltage will cause your body, because we're light beings, and this is light, electrons will, or photons will, light will be given off, and then it takes a picture of that. And the quality of that image maps to the different regions of the body, organ systems within the body, based on Chinese meridians and the chakra system. And so we can map that, the quality of your field, to these organ systems. So we can then determine the quality of these organ systems. Okay. And we know that disease manifests first in the energy field, right? So it's mind that creates a belief system. That belief system causes us to vibrate or feel a particular way. And that feel that we have is where our cells are manifesting. So the disease manifests first in the energy field. We can measure that, and we can often catch a disruption there before it actually manifests in the physical body. Okay, so in other countries like Russia and Europe, they can use this. They use this tool, the Biowell, as a medical device. And so, for example, when people are going into surgery, they will read their field, and if their field isn't strong enough, they might not let them go into surgery just yet, because they'll do things to help increase their field, because that will then increase their recovery time after the post-surgery. Okay, so this field is a measure of our health and vitality. And again, the higher the energy, the more vitality that we have. This field is also, the biofield, or the human energy field, is also known as chi, or life force, or prana, in other Eastern traditions. Okay, so you can see that this energy field is a measure of someone's health and vitality. So the top person has leukemia, so you can see how diminished their field is. The bottom person is someone who's healthy, who eats well, who meditates, who does yoga routinely. So she has a really strong, mostly uniform field. You can see some disruptions in her field down in here. She has her hip is out a little bit. But for the most part, it's really bright and blue and uniform throughout. Okay. And so when we have disease in the body, that's going to be a depletion of the energy field, and we can actually measure that on this instrument. Okay. So how you feel on a regular basis? How do you feel on a regular basis? Do you feel more like a stone, which is a lower frequency or slow vibration, or do you feel like this light? Right? This is a really high frequency vibration. If you go outside and look at the sun and feel that vibration, it's peace, it's bliss, it's uniform, it's unfragmented, it's a really high frequency vibration. That is what we really are. So how can we go from feeling like this stone, if that's what we feel like, or maybe we feel like wood, not quite as hard as a stone, not as dull as a stone, to feeling like this? Okay, so let's practice a bit here. Okay, so I'd like you to sit up tall, and I'm going to go over a number of things here. I'm going to show you, I'm going to try to give you an experience of what it's like to wake up to your higher mind, and how you can raise the vibration in your body so that you charge up this energy field. Okay. And we're going to use that spiritual heart, and we're also going to move into the chakras. But first, I'm just going to drop you in. Okay, so just sit up tall, find a nice, comfortable space, hands on your lap, face down or face up, whatever is more comfortable for you, and just relax. Sense the field around you. So remember that image I showed you. You're expanding your awareness by sensing and feeling the space around you. Use your inner senses to feel the space around you. Just relax into the space. Relax your brain. Let your brain fall away from the skull. And let your eyeballs fall away from the eyelids. And when you do this, you're relaxing your thinking mind. Tell yourself you're safe, that it's okay to relax. And now feel the space around you. Really sense it and feel it. As if you're shopping and you're trying to feel the fabric of something. You're trying to sense the qualities of the fabric. I want you to sense the qualities of the space around you. It's still. It's silent and it's peaceful. Keep relaxing the brain. Let it fall away from the skull. Let the eyeballs fall back. And now I want you to feel the center of your chest back towards the spine. And again, imagine trying to sense and feel the qualities of that space at the same time that you're holding the space around you in your awareness. Surrender. You're surrendering to that higher mind that exists around you. It's you. It's just a higher part of you that maybe you may or may not be aware of. And notice what happens as you do this. As you relax and drop your awareness into your heart and feeling the space around you, just notice right away what happens. The thinking mind gets quiet, the emotions calm down, and the body relaxes. The peace that you feel is the quality of your higher mind. Your higher mind carries wisdom. It understands things from a different perspective, one with more peace. And so by you sensing and feeling the space around you, you get access to more information. Now you are no longer just getting the information that's held in your chakra system, that's in the physical body. You now get access to the information that's around you. There's chakras above your head that you can sense and feel. Again, like trying to sense and feel the space in your heart and the space around you, you can sense and feel the chakras above your head. Just trust your intuition as to where they are. And the more you sense and feel the space around you, the center of your chest, and also any of the chakras, the more you are going to become aware of them. They always are there. It's just whether you put your awareness, put your attention on them. Getting in and out of these states, either your state of being as a human or as your higher mind, your higher self, is really a matter of where you focus your attention. So when you start doing this, really feeling your heart, the energy from your heart, which is a really high frequency vibration, it's unity, It feels like unity. It feels like one. It's unity consciousness. It'll start to spread and fill your entire body and your entire world. Keep sensing and feeling. The peace that you feel is your higher mind infiltrating you. Some of you might be sensitive enough to feel the energy coming down through the crown of your head. The energy will go all the way down into the root, and then it will come up and out and express through your chakra systems and all the beliefs that are held there. That energy is you. It's your light. It is you. And the greater understanding that you have of this reality and who we are, who you are, the more that the chakra system will become clear and let this light that you are shine through. If you have stored in the chakra system, limited beliefs, when you try to express, your beliefs will hold you back. It won't let you express. And that's when you create resistance in the body. So feel yourself as an open channel right down the center of you, from the crown of your head down to your root, and feel the spiritual heart. So feel the heart center and imagine it shining like the sun out through the center of your chest and filling your entire field of perception. Feel it. Feel as if the sun's rays are shining through you. Let yourself relax. Let your body let go. Let yourself surrender. Really let that sun, the light shining from the center of your chest, let it shine. Unrestricted, just let go. Now compare this to how you normally feel. Do you feel much more restricted than you do right now? So notice that that's a practiced vibration. How you feel now may be very different than how you normally feel. And this is a different vibration, and therefore your cells, your hormones that are being released are different. The cells are getting different information, and they're going to perform differently. So just notice the difference between how you feel now and how you normally feel. If you really let go, the energy can come more and more down the crown of your head. It's us surrendering our lower mind, and allowing our higher mind to come in. It is that surrender that allows that to happen. Being in the energy of awe, of wonder, of gratitude. When you are so grateful, you release resistance. When you are in wonder, like show me, you release resistance and the energy can flow in. What keeps us from this energy is just us. It's our own minds. It's our limited understanding of who we are and what this reality is. And the more we can learn about this reality, the more we can let go of any resistance that we're holding, any of these limited ideas. How do we know they're limited? Because they feel limited. They feel restrictive. If I'm judging myself or judging another, it doesn't feel good. And that feeling is a sign that we're out of alignment. We're not allowing our higher mind to enter, because our higher mind would never think things like that. Our higher mind would not act like that. So we literally close ourselves off to our higher self when we do that. We shut the door. So when you catch yourself doing that, just notice it. Just notice that I'm doing that and release it. And go, okay, well, I'm choosing alignment. That's my old way of thinking. That was my conditioned belief system. And now I'm choosing to align with my higher mind. So I'm releasing that belief system. I'm letting that belief go. That's something I learned. That's something that was stored in me, conditioned into me from my parents or from society. I'm letting it go because it doesn't feel good, and I want to align. I want to align because it brings me happiness. I want to align because it brings my body more health. I want to align because everything I'm putting out into the universe is going to be what my reality is. The inner world that we create in here, what seems to be in here in the physical body, is reflected in the outer world. It's a mirror. The qualities that are stored inside these chakras are reflected back to us, just like a dream. When you might have a certain dream when you're stressed a lot, and you have a certain dream where you feel limited and scared, and that dream is really a reflection of how you've been feeling in your daily life, that is what the physical reality is. The physical reality is reflecting back to us how we feel inside. So when we feel like that limited human being, we're going to have limited belief systems that are stored in our chakras. Now, when we become aware that we're not just this limited being, we're much greater than this limited being. We can expand our awareness, and now we're changing the vibrations of these chakras that are held inside of us. Now the physical reality is going to reflect that back to us. Okay? And we're going to free up all this restrictive energy that's being held inside the body. And that increases our biofield. So keep feeling the heart. Keep sensing and feeling the heart. And just notice that the more you try to feel it, the stronger it becomes, the more it radiates out. I want you to think of going into the feeling of it, like you're going into a pool, and you let the pool, the water just embraces you. Let the energy of your spiritual heart embrace you. Let it radiate out and fill every single cell in your body. And that's going to increase the vitality of your body. That's going to increase your biofield. That's going to increase your human energy field. And that's going to create health and resiliency and super immunity and super happiness in your physical body. Just feel it. Intend on feeling it more. Connect to it all day long as much as you can. And know it's a process. Know it's a process. It's not going to happen overnight. And don't get mad at yourself when you don't feel it. Don't get mad at yourself when you forget. Just go, oh, I forgot. I got to remember. Okay, I'm remembering and I'm doing it now. That's all you need to do. Keep feeling it. It's bliss. It feels so good. Oh my God, it's so beautiful. So now I want you to envision yourself on the beach. I want you to see yourself on the beach. Create this little image of you on the beach. Feel the sand in your toes if you like that feeling. If not, then feel your tennis shoes on the beach. Feel the breeze. See the waves. Feel the air. Create this image of you on the beach. Look through the eyes of yourself on the beach. Be that person that you're creating. Let's call it your smaller self. Your lower self, we'll call it. Look through the eyes of that person on the beach. See the sand through their eyes. See the water through their eyes. And then slowly, I want you to start feeling like you're letting that image go. And that smaller self that you thought you were in that image is now realizing it's part of your mind. It's dissolving back into your mind. Like a dream dissolves back into your mind. And then that smaller self realizes it is you. That is what this reality is. This reality is that. We are individuated forms of God. Individual souls. A soul is an individuated form of God. Even scientists now, or have been for 100 years now, saying that the universe looks more like the mind of God than it does a machine. We are living in the mind of God. And we can expand our awareness and realize the totality of who we are. We just need to be taught how. And by sensing and feeling the space around us, we now get access to that higher mind. We now get to experience frequencies that we normally don't as our limited self. We'll still feel like we're in the human body, but we feel differently. We perceive things differently. We have more knowledge about what this reality really is and who we really are in relation to it. So just integrate that information for just a moment. Feel yourself as the field. Create that image of your mind again, in your mind again, of who you are on the beach. Your smaller self on the beach, this image of you on the beach. Look through that image's eyes. Look through that smaller self's eyes. And now let that smaller self relax its mind, feeling the space around it, and let it dissolve back into you. When we do that, that is what's called Samadhi. Just like you projected that image in your mind, God is projecting us in his mind or its mind. We are in the mind of God. We are in the heart and the mind of God. Now I want you to also notice or feel that the space around you is you. Notice what happens when you sense and feel and understand that the space around you is you. You are a body of consciousness. The field around you is you. What happens? What happens when you do that? Relax and feel as if the space around you is your body. What happens? When we feel at one with the forms and the space around us, we have less resistance in the physical body. We're not turning on that stress response. It's easy to do this with our eyes closed right now. But the more and more you can practice this in your daily life, the less of that stress response you will turn on in your physical body, the less degeneration you will have, because that's really what's happening. When we're constantly engaging that stress response, we're turning on chemistry in the body that's causing the body to degrade. It's causing the body to age. Aging is simply the reduction of the life force in the body, and that's what causes aging. And disease now, scientists have now classified things that we call disease, like Alzheimer's, autoimmunity, they're classifying, and cancer, they're classifying these things as aging. They're really the body aging. It's not really disease. Okay. So keep feeling the spiritual heart. Keep feeling the space around you. Let the heart shine. Let the heart shine. Let it go. Unencumbered, uninhibited, unrestricted. Let the heart shine as much as you can, and I promise you it will grow. The more you sense and feel the heart, the more it will grow. When I first started it, I barely felt anything, but I kept going. I kept going as deep as I could into that area, into that space in the center of my chest. I kept going, and now my heart energy is so strong. It's so powerful. So I promise you, I'm no different than you. I just practiced. That's it. I just practiced. So go ahead and open your eyes. I probably went way over. Okay, so I wanted to share this with you. This was an article I found in the Integrative Medicine Journal, and they were looking at what happens to the energy field during a death experience. So what they found was that they said, consistent with reports in the literature, patterns of changes in the biofield observed during the dying process included the biofield decreasing in size and intensity from the feet upward, and the chakras also closing or reducing activity from the root to the crown as the person moved closer to death. The energy field moved up and outward from the crown with death. Okay, and this is really fascinating to me because when my mom was dying, I was with her in hospice, and her on the very last days, the blood was really starting to accumulate near her feet because there was less circulation in that area, just as it says. There was less life force at the feet, which is part of the root chakra. And then I would just keep massaging to keep that energy. I would massage her feet, and I didn't want the blood to pool. It was really hard for me, and I kept massaging her feet to make the energy move, and then it would go away. But then it just she was going to go. And then also I was sitting at her head as she was passing. And I remember when she took her last breath, she hadn't moved for like 10 days. And then I didn't really understand any of this at that time. This was 2009. And I saw her, she took her last breath. Her breath was really labored, and there was a lot of space between each breath as they get closer and closer to death. But she took her last breath, and literally her eyes opened, and then she went, whew. And I couldn't see it, but I felt it. This energy just went, whew. And it was right in her head area, because I was sitting here right at her head when she was laying down. So anyway, I thought this was really fascinating, because it is the depletion of this energy, of this biofield, of this life force that causes disease. It's what gives life to the physical body. And we can bring more of it into the physical body with these types of practices. Okay, so how do you know if you have a healthy biofield? Well, someone who has a healthy biofield is outwardly looks healthy and energetic. So they look like they're vital. They look like they're enjoying life. They are quick to fight off viruses. They don't really ever get sick. They bounce back really quickly after injuries or after being sick. So they have a lot of resiliency. They typically have good endurance. They have good digestion. They have good immunity, and they have a clear state of mind. So their memory's good, their mind's good, their memory's good. They don't have pain and inflammation in the body, right? Any stiffness. Stiffness in the body is a sign of a lack of energy flow in that area. So if you have pain or inflammation or stiffness in the body, get moving. But don't do it in a way that you're going to hurt yourself, but move the energy. So certain practices like yoga, or bringing your attention into that area of the body also brings the energy there, because where the mind goes, the chi flows. So when you bring your awareness into a certain part of your body that is experiencing pain, you're bringing energy, you're bringing your life force. Now, if you hold your spiritual heart as well in your awareness and that part of your body that's hurting, the energy from your spiritual heart will flow into that part that is hurting and start to heal it too. So what's important there is your focus. You need to be able to hold those places in your awareness at the same time. Okay, you feel clear-headed, your memory is good, you feel like you have a purpose, you feel like life is good, like you're enjoying life. You're going to have your ups and downs. It's not perfect. It's not supposed to be perfect, but you bounce back really quickly. You have a good attitude. If your field is weak, you tend to have more chronic health conditions. You might have autoimmunity, digestive system problems, high blood pressure, headaches, pain and inflammation in the body. You feel tired a lot. You feel unmotivated. You have allergies or asthma. You feel inadequate, right? Or unworthy, depressed. You can't focus. Your memory's not good. You're judging yourself and others. When you feel inadequate or unworthy, you're judging yourself. When you're criticizing someone else, you're judging others, right? So it's the same thing, just who are you doing it to? And so the way we diminish these fields is primarily that separation consciousness, thinking we're not one with the world around us, right? Feeling separate from others. That will over time create disease in the body. When we have unity consciousness, when we understand and feel ourselves, like I had you in that meditation, feel yourself as the space. What did that do to you? I mean, if you're able to sense energy enough, you might have felt a relaxation, right? So that means you felt more at peace with what was next to you. Right? So practice that in your daily life. See if you can be in a room and look around and go, all of this is happening inside of me. And then feel your body relax as a result of that, really understanding that. So you understand it when the body responds by relaxing. If it's just a concept that you're holding, but you don't feel any emotion or response in the body, in a healthy way, then you don't fully believe it yet. And that's okay. It takes reprogramming, right? What was stored here took many, many years to get stored here. So we need to reprogram that, and with the new knowledge. And so when I first got this information, I would walk around going, all of this is inside of me. And I didn't feel like what I do now. What I do now is when I feel that, everything rushes into me. But before, when I did it, I didn't feel much. I felt a small, relaxation, and I felt the energy come into me slightly. But now when I do it, I feel like I'm the field. I feel like I'm the space around me. I can feel it vibrate and it comes closer to me. So when we feel that way, we have less resistance in the body and we're running less of our stress pathways. So when we're constantly running these stress pathways, and what we're doing is we suppress our immunity, we accelerate the aging process, and it also makes us dumb because it literally pushes the blood away from the prefrontal cortex, which is your executive decision-making area of the brain, into the fear centers of the brain. Okay, the capillaries in the blood vessels here in the front of the brain constrict. It pushes the blood in towards the fear centers of the brain, and we can't think as clearly. Okay, so I want to talk about all the different types of stress. When you are in separation consciousness, these are the things that you deal with. So, and again, it's a process of awakening. So I don't expect you to not have these stressors, even though you start to understand who you are. I still have some of these stressors, even though I have a better understanding of who I am and how I relate to this reality. The biggest one is mental emotional stress for all the reasons I just showed you, right? It creates a vibration that's practiced on a daily basis that creates chemistry. But we also have the dietary stressors, processed foods, herbicides, genetically modified food, and then we also have food intolerances. That's what that's supposed to say. We have environmental stressors from the air, the water, personal care products that we're putting on our skin. We have sleep disturbances, sleep stress. So either we're choosing to stay up late in the night, or we can't fall asleep at night because our nervous system's too revved up, or we wake up in the middle of the night because of our nervous system being too revved up, or some inflammation that's going on that's driving up cortisol in the night. We have nutritional deficiencies because maybe our digestive system is not working well, or we have certain genetics where we need certain types of nutrients than other people, or we have, because we're undergoing a lot of stress, we need certain nutrients. If we're running these stress pathways and we don't have the proper nutrients to drive these biological pathways, we will start to degrade faster. We'll feel worse. The symptoms will appear. So we could also have hidden infections in the body, especially in the gut. So our gut microbiome, all those bugs in our gut are really doing important jobs for us. They're modulating the immune system. They are maintaining the lining of the digestive tract. The lining of the digestive tract is super important because it's really our barrier to what we put into our digestive tract. So it protects us against things that are coming in through the digestive tracts and also through the sinuses. So if we have an unhealthy microbiome, it can't protect us, right? These things, the healthy microbiomes actually literally coat pathogens like parasites and bacteria that are harmful and roll them out of our body. Okay, they are generating nutrients for us too. And they are communicating with our immune system. And so if they're not healthy, we're not going to be healthy. And what affects them is what we're eating, what we're drinking, whether we're sleeping or not at the right times. We can also have too much physical stress, like we're working too much. So our work-life balance isn't balanced. We're out of balance there. We could have an accident, maybe a car accident, an injury from working out or sports. So a physical stress, like we break a leg or have some sort of injury like that, that can cause stress. And so all of these things together are stress. It's not just the mental emotional. So we want to redefine stress because your brain is regulating all of this. The hypothalamus region of the brain is sampling all areas of the body. And that then, when it senses a stress, it sends a signal to the pituitary gland, which then sends a signal to the adrenal glands, third chakra, to release cortisol. Cortisol is your primary stress hormone. So this stress pathway also influences your HPT axis, your hypothalamus, pituitary thyroid gland axis. So this is in charge of our energy as well. So both of these influence our energy. So when the HPA axis or the HPT axis are out, we're going to feel fatigued. We're going to have poor digestion. We're going to have memory issues. We're going to have immune system issues, infertility issues. We won't be able to repair and regenerate. We're going to have sleep issues. We're going to have, again, thyroid, blood pressure, blood sugar levels, and muscle and joint function. So chronically over time, if we're running those same belief systems, moving through life with those same stressors over time, these things are going to degrade. So every year you start to get a little bit heavier, especially around the middle. You start to have a little bit more brain fog. You start to have a little bit more pain and inflammation in the body. And then over time, that's when the disease is going to occur. That's when you're going to be diagnosed with disease. And with the BioWell, or with these energy practices, we can measure that. But what I'd like you to know, the most important thing, is that you can change these. You can change the frequencies that you're holding in these in your energy body by using your mind and the practice that I just showed you, as well as many more. And that's what I hope to show you in some upcoming meetings. So when you're in protection mode, you shut off growth and regeneration. You can't be both in protection mode, that fight or flight mode, and growth and regeneration at the same time. Okay. So we call stress the silent killer because you don't really understand this is happening. Our doctors certainly aren't teaching you this, right? New doctors are. The new healthcare practitioner is teaching you this because they know how to create health. So that the neuroendocrine system is the brain and the adrenal glands, or the brain and the glands. So when we're stressed, that's what we're triggering. That's going to affect the digestive system. So your GI system is the gastrointestinal tract. Your adrenal glands regulate the immune cells, and 2/3 of your immune cells are in the gut. So when your gut becomes compromised because of too much stress, you now are more susceptible to picking up pathogens. So pathogens are bacteria and parasites that are harmful, viruses that are harmful in your gut, because those microbes are not there to protect you. Your immune system is faltering, possibly because you have too many toxins in your body. So your immune system's compromised, you pick up more bugs, they compromise the lining of the gut, you develop food intolerances. You are now accumulating more toxins because this lining of the gut helps keep these toxins out of the body, because it's really this hollow tube that's going down. So if my lining of the gut is healthy, it's going to protect me from these toxins coming in. But now if I'm accumulating too many toxins, I'm going to overwhelm my detox pathways in my body. That's going to send another stress signal to the neuroendocrine system. And then this just spirals out of control year after year. And you eventually are going to be diagnosed with disease. That's why we have 1 in 3 people, 1 in 3 women, 1 in 2 men, something like that. I might have those backwards, will be diagnosed with cancer. Alzheimer's disease is the 3rd leading cause of disease in the United States now. And it's all reversible, all of it, if you address the root cause. And that is our lifestyle. So this is a healthy gut. The lining of the gut is this single layer of cells that sit nice and tight together. So they act as a protective barrier against what's coming through the center of the gut. So what you're eating and what you're drinking. But when we're under stress, this is what happens. They pull away. Now things that shouldn't be getting through, like food and microbes, are now getting through into the bloodstream. That's where your immune system's just right there. And now your immune system sees these foreigners, it launches an immune response, and now you have this inflammation that's going on. It's trying to protect you, but you keep adding more things to it, okay? So how do we revitalize our biofield? It's really our lifestyle. Our lifestyle is what gets us into trouble, so we need to use our lifestyle to repair us. It's what we're doing and thinking all day long. So yogis, we think of yogis as something really exceptional, right? It's really common, probably, especially on this podcast, right? So you guys are aware of this kind of lifestyle, but other people are not. And they might look at yogis as people that are really special. But I'm not like a yogi, they say. But really, yogis are just people who have kind of mastered what it means to be human, right? They understand the mind a little bit, they understand the emotions, and they understand what the physical body needs. So waking up and meditating is really important. It's a great way to start your day, because you build that connection, you strengthen that connection every morning when you wake up to that greater part of yourself, right? By every single day doing that, you it's like a compound investment. You benefit more and more from it every single time you do it. It becomes your natural way of being, because now you're reconditioning the chakra system in the physical body, so it becomes easier and easier and easier to understand yourself as the field. When I first started doing that, I didn't understand myself as the field. I still don't always stay in that state, but I really get it now, a lot more than I did a couple of years ago, or even a year ago, or even 3 months ago. Okay, but I practice every single morning. So I wake up and meditate. Taking a cold shower is a great way to stimulate your parasympathetic nervous system, that growth and regeneration part of your body, of your nervous system. And so a cold shower, it's so invigorating and stimulating. It's really good for circulation, and again, stimulating the parasympathetic nervous system, so that you get the nice, healthy balance between your stress response and your rest and digest mode of your nervous system. Dry brushing is really good for circulation and for skin health. So doing that every day. So just making these things your habits. You have certain habits now, maybe they're not working for you. So include some of these habits and see what happens over time. Hydrating, drinking lots and lots of water. Water not only just hydrates us, it really provides energy for the physical body. I don't have time to go into that now. There's a lot of science on water now, and understanding that it creates a battery inside our cells, and that charges us up. Movement, super, super important. Our lymphatic system is where our immune cells hang out. And if we don't move it, it's like not taking the garbage out in your house. If you don't take the garbage out in your house starts to stink. So moving the body is super, super important. I promise you, if you get up every day, or at least 5 days a week, or maybe just 3 days a week, if you don't have a practice, move the body. And maybe it's not high intensity exercise. Maybe it's just stretching the body. You're going to feel so much better. It releases chemicals into your bloodstream, and that helps the brain, helps the nervous system, helps the digestion and the lymphatic system, everything. It's really, really good for you. Organic, non-GMO food. Eat what's in season. Eat lots and lots of plants. Eat lots and lots of colors. Some of you may need to cook them. Some of you may be able to eat them raw. It all depends on the healthier digestive system. But the more plants you eat, the more you're going to grow the healthy microbiome in your gut, and the more benefits you're going to reap from that long term. Try to eat your last meal at least 3 hours before you go to bed. And try to go to bed and be asleep by 10:30. So try to make your last meal by 7. There's a lot of information that's being done on food now. And what we've really found is that, we're overfed but undernourished. And food, the way we eat food, is really a stressor on the physical body. So we want to not eat so much food and eat, whole food, a plant-based whole food diet. So you can eat meat. It's okay to eat meat for certain people, but you don't want it to be the majority of what you're eating. Journaling and meditation. So another practice to really start to connect with yourself. It's really beneficial for a lot of people. And again, sleep by 10:30 p.m. Your brain is literally cleaning itself out at night. And if you're not asleep before midnight, that doesn't get to happen. You wake up groggy, and it's because these toxins that have accumulated in your brain are not getting flushed out. The science is now showing that during sleep, the cerebral spinal fluid is coming into the brain and washing out amyloid beta and tau protein. So amyloid beta is the proteins that are accumulating in the brain in Alzheimer's disease. So if you're not getting sleep, that doesn't get to happen, and these things will build up over time. There's other reasons why they're building up. The brain is actually trying to protect itself. But sleep is very, very, very important. Okay. So really, we want to just let our lifestyle be our medicine. That's the medicine. Our lifestyle is your medicine. Reduce the incoming toxins, support and release the stored toxins, both physical, non-physical toxins, the mental, emotional, and the physical toxins, right? And learn to love your life. The more you love your life, the more energy is going to flow from that spiritual heart, the more vitality you're going to have, and therefore the greater health that you're going to have. So here's someone that I worked with. She's 51 years old, female. She came to me when she had saw something I posted online, and I just want to show you, this is a medical symptom questionnaire. So this is, this is from day 0 that we started to work together. She had a total score of 116. So the higher the score, the worse you feel. By day 7, she had a score of 75. And by day 14, she had a total score of 42. So she came to me because she said she was dragging herself out of bed. She was dragging herself downstairs. She had to drag herself to do anything. She was totally unmotivated. She said she was waiting around to die. She felt like she was waiting around to die. And then she saw something I posted. She was hypothyroid. She was medicated, but the meds were not working. And she had digestive system issues. You can see on the left here, she had a score of 10, so highly constipated. So she wasn't eliminating things that needed to be eliminated. So it's stored in the body. And basically that's like not taking the trash out of your house, right? Your body's going to start to stink. Okay, so she went from a 10 down to a 6 in just 7 days. And then from a 6 to a 3 in just 7 more days. So in 14 days, she cut that score from a 10 to a 3. Look at her joint and muscles on the left. She started with a 20, right? So 4 means frequently have it and pain is severe. So she went from a 20 to a 15 in 7 days and from a 15 to a 10 in day 14. She went from in the emotions category. So mood swings, anxiety, fear, anger, irritability, and aggressiveness, depression. She went from a 16 down to a 4 after 14 days. She cut it in half after 7 days. So she went from in the mind area, poor memory, confusion, difficulty in making decisions, a 14 down to a 6 in just 14 days. So this really shows you the mind-body connection, right? When the body is not healthy, the mind is not healthy. It's rare that you find someone that feels this bad or has suffered from this many issues and has mental clarity and emotional clarity. It's very, very rare. So the truth is, aging is really the lifelong accumulation of damage to the body that occurs as an intrinsic side effect of the body's normal operation. The body can tolerate some damage, but too much, it causes disease and disability. And like I said before, this is the old way of thinking, that we had the disease here, the communicable diseases, congenital and chronic diseases like Alzheimer's, cancer, and then we had the aging diseases, right? Frailty, sarcopenia, and immunosenescence. But now it's recategorized as this, okay? So Aubrey de Grey is one of, he really is big in the field of ending aging, really anti-aging and longevity. And really, so now these things that we thought of as diseases are really just the body aging, Alzheimer's, cancers, and all the other chronic diseases. So I want you to think about that, and that there's ways that you can use these practices like what we did today, feeling the spiritual heart, letting it expand out. You can also do a practice where you're breathing up, you're holding your spiritual heart in your awareness and you're breathing up and down the chakras. Because what will happen now is the energy from the spiritual heart will move into the chakra system and change the vibration of the chakras. And then that's how you change the frequency that's held there and the energy that's held there, and you give life to those areas. So other ways to do that is to relax more. Always choose the highest perspective available to you. Evaluate your belief systems, particularly those that make you feel bad. And even like when you're judging others, start objectifying these beliefs as they appear to you, and realize that a lot of these things were just, you learned. So don't give yourself a hard time. Don't feel bad about it, but just understand that they're learned practices. And that's part of the journey of being here, is to go from that limited idea into a more expansive idea that we are all one, and I don't need to judge these people, that we're all on the spiritual path, even though it doesn't look like it. We're all learning, and it's our experience that's causing us to learn. We can only learn through experience. Okay. So I think I'm going to end there. We've covered a lot tonight, and I'd love to hear your feedback. So please send any questions to me if you'd like. This is my contact information, drcatlewis.com. info@drcatlewis.com is the email you can send questions to. I'd love to hear from you, and let me know what you found interesting or what you'd like to see more of. All right, take care.